Hey, good morning. I was reading an article. I subscribe to this Petrolicious magazine newspaper, and one of the articles in it is talking about the vacuum system. It's an interesting article. I know I'm kind of far away from the screen, but it's talking about the development and the integration of the vacuum system into the vehicle and how it later turned into turbos and superchargers and really began to develop the automotive world. And I found this helpful to have talking points. A lot of business owners that I know are, especially here in Michigan, have some automotive background and are there's a lot of car enthusiasts. It's just kind of ingrained in our blood if you were born in Michigan. And one of the interesting parts of this article was they were talking about when the vacuum system became developed, how quickly it became integrated into vehicles. And like all good things, the integration can take a turn for a little bit too much integration. And Mercedes was the first to do that. They realized with a vacuum system, they can do things like use the entire vacuum system in the engine to power the door lock mechanism, to power some of the electrical components, on and off switches, to power your windows going up and down. And so it had integrated the vacuum system into the entirety of the vehicle. And it was great technology at first when it first came out. The problem was that as soon as you had an issue with the vehicle and the vacuum system, all of a sudden your doors couldn't lock, all of a sudden your windows couldn't go up. And so they had to backtrack where the leak was in the hose in order to fix that. And so they realized too much integration could be problematic. And I say all that because a lot of the senior business owners that I talk to are feeling the pressure of artificial intelligence. And they're very aware that too much integration of any tech or development that's happened or efficiency that's happened in business can become problematic when it comes to face-to-face relationships, which is where they all emphasize. This is where we all grew up in and understanding the development and the necessity of networking and building relationships. And so I think we're going to see some of the same thing with artificial intelligence. And I think some of the pressure that you're feeling as a seasoned business owner to pump the brakes a little bit, I think is important. I think there's going to be efficiencies in artificial intelligence and all AI integration that's going to help with efficiencies and help systematize things even easier than what they have been. But I think business ultimately always comes back to what I like to call the 3 foot putt. A lot of business can be automated. A lot of business can be integrated into different technologies. But most businesses, those last 3 feet is where face to face relationships matter. And in golf, the 3 foot putt is typically learning and understanding and being able to master the 3 foot putt is where you can ultimately change your score. You can get, 5 to 10 yards, but they always say if you can master the 3 foot putt, you can knock, you know, a significant amount off your score at the end of the round. And so with business, the last 3 feet are areas that you can't automate. That is where you ultimately, if you're a realtor, you have to sit down and you guys are going to sign the contracts. That's the last 3 feet. Even if you're selling commodities and products, ultimately you're going to be, if you own a brick and mortar location, they're going to come to the cashier and pay. Now there are some things like Amazon and that are product based, but those are typically a race to the lowest price denominator. Anything that's integrated with human contact, you're still going to have to master the last 3 feet. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of share that story as a Monday morning. I'm talking to a lot of business owners that are in the demographic where the internet was just coming out when they started their business. And so they've seen things come and go, and they've built very successful businesses that have been established for an extremely long amount of time, decades, longer than most of their staff has been alive. And they're seeing an enormous push for AI integration, and they're wanting to push back a little bit, and rightfully so. And so as you begin to think about things like Mercedes, the integration of uh, um, some of the technologies that we saw that we thought at the time were going to change the automotive industry. They did have some changes, but they had some changes only in specific areas. There was other areas like door locks and power windows that they should not have been integrated into. And in AI, there's going to be areas like doing this video that's just not simply going to. You can do an AI version. You can try to automate all that, but ultimately the last 3 feet are going to be where all the difference is made. And so, as you're feeling that pressure, as the baton begins to be handed to the next generation or the next business owner, as you're preparing to sell, I want you to know that putting a little feet on the brakes is a good thing. And I think having a little bit of caution is good, and put some parameters around AI integration as you look forward, but also embrace it because it's going to certainly help in a lot of ways. But just do it in the way that understands development can be often overindulged. That's all I got for today. I look forward to chatting with you guys soon.